Welcome to our second lesson of the course. Today we'll focus on proving and demonstrating why you really need to find a suitable knowledge base. We'll explore the benefit it can offer compared to the system of scattered files all over the place. After more than 4 years of operation in the market, about 300 customer interviews, we can reassure you that single source of truth is key for knowledge management inside your team. During Perfect Wiki development, we had about 300 calls with users from different countries and different fields. We've analyzed the calls as well as thousands of messages and emails from our current and prospect customers. This way, we managed to extract the most common triggers that may indicate that you need to start a knowledge-based solution for your business. Now you can see these triggers on the screen. First, you have to answer repetitive questions multiple times every day. They accumulate in your work chats and email threads, and that means that your employees simply can't find the answers. The second point is that files with knowledge are scattered everywhere. Employees have to spend hours on looking for a particular guide or document. The third trigger is that there is no method to make sure that the information your employees have is relevant and up to date. You don't know if they are using the newest version of the policy or if they simply forgot to replace the old copy. And now let's review all these triggers in greater detail. Dealing with repetitive questions from your colleagues is the major pain point. It can drain time and energy, and this way knowledge is always lost or forgotten. And as a matter of example, let's review one Perfect Wiki customer case. William is a manager at a South American shipping company, and every day he gets overwhelmed by multiple questions from his employees. Where can I find the address lists? What are the shipping standards? What are the shipping policies for a particular region? What are the customs policies? And so on. Answering all these questions was very time and energy consuming for William. He just couldn't focus on any other tasks. And all that made William look for a knowledge-based solution. William's choice was Perfect Wiki. After uploading the FAQ file into the system, his users got shared access to all the information needed, and that allowed William to shift focus to other tasks, as the employees could find all the answers on their own. And now let's move on to the second trigger. Just imagine, you already have some files with important information and knowledge accumulates really quickly. But accessing it can be challenging for your employees as the files can be scattered all over the place inside your organization. All that makes accessing data difficult, and even if the most detailed policies and guides are created, you have to redo it all over again. And you as well is always overwhelmed with the questions from your employees on where to find this data and how you can get the answers. And now let's review another real-life example. Helen from the US Community College struggled from the disorganized file system. Her initial goal was to set up a centralized hub for storing information on troubleshooting and FAQs for her employees. However, the files were scattered across different platforms and storages, and her employees simply couldn't find them, and as a result, they never used the knowledge she created. They preferred to drop a question to Helen instead of spending too much time on looking for a particular document. Helen decided to use Perfect Wiki knowledge-based solution to resolve her problem. And this way she managed to create a centralized help center for her employees, just as the one that you can currently see on the screen. And there she uploaded all the procedures, FAQs, manuals, and guides. Such an info bank was very intuitive, easily accessible, and logically structured, so her team could find all the answers easily. This way, Helen's team could finally stick to the procedures that were forgotten or lost because no one just couldn't find them. Now let's review the third trigger. Without a centralized knowledge management system, it becomes very difficult to track document updates. You can never be sure if the users are using the newest version of the policy, and that can lead to confusions and inconsistencies in your collaborative workflow. And as a matter of a real-life example, let's review the case of a senior finance manager from a German finance company, Jennifer. Before implementing a knowledge-based solution, the company struggled with keeping the documentation relevant and up-to-date. As not all the users on the team were really tech-savvy, it was almost impossible to track if they're referring to the most current version of the document. Jennifer's team used Microsoft Teams as the default workspace. And the procedure seemed very easy. An updated link or file was just sent to the company chat. However, after that, Jennifer could never check if the users have updated the policy or if they still stick to the older ones. And this situation seemed very difficult for a large finance company where precise information is key. Perfect Wiki implementation allowed Jennifer and her team adjust their workflow. She created a centralized knowledge hub where uploaded all her policies, just as the one that you can see on the screen right now. And when she sent a link to the chat, the users could always see the most recent version of the document. Moreover, it was easier to track changes to the documentation via the version's history dialog and to make sure that everything is to the point. So in this lesson, we overviewed the triggers that may indicate that you need a suitable knowledge-based solution for your employees to improve your workflow. All the customers from our examples came with one request: to get a centralized knowledge hub where employees could have easy access to the relevant information. With our minor assistance, they managed to get rid of repetitive questions that were accumulating in different communication channels. A knowledge-based solution also allowed them to create a centralized information hub where the employees could find answers to their questions on their own and work without any external support. And a knowledge-based solution also made it possible to track changes to the documentation and keep the data relevant and fresh. The picture seems ideal, but it's easier said than done. There are multiple blocks that you can face on this journey. We'll discuss the most common knowledge-based pitfalls in our next lesson. See you!